Clickety says, would you say 2 warp prisms is too much? One for deploying Zealot Rumbies, another to back up the army? You can do that, Clickety. I actually, if I have 2 warp prisms, sometimes I'm like, well, I'm just going to send Zealot counterattacks in from 2 sides. And I won't even reinforce my army because I've got enough Storm in it that they can't really jump on it. I'm like, just warp in a billion Zealots on both sides, you know. But yeah, I think too, it just depends on the situation, right? If your back's up against the wall and you got to be worried about attack and, you know, getting just overwhelmed and you're like, let's build a second warp prism. It seems kind of dumb, right, Clickety? But if you've got a lot of control over the game, you're like, well, I'm building up a lot of economy and I'm playing like, let's go 4th base, let's wear down my opponent over time. Yeah, absolutely. A second prism's not bad. Luke Bomber says, after I get into a stable mid-game in TVT, 3 command centers, 5-1, 2-1. I don't know what 2-1 means. So, 3 CC, 5-1. Oh, 5-1, and then 2, and then... Oh, you're saying 5 barracks and a factory and a starport, and then you add a second factory, right? Is that what you're saying? I think that's what you mean. How should I go about my mid-game and counter-attacking in general in TVT? I'm hilariously bad versus mech and have thrown numerous leads. Tips about engaging. Done a lot of coaching videos on TVT. You should probably look at Luke Bomber. A lot of it is about moving around your opponent. You don't try to break tank positions usually. So if you're a bio player, I mean, bio versus mech, there's 2 ways you go. One is you just expand faster than normal, Luke Bomber. Yeah, this is game hard. So number 1, if you're bio versus mech, expand faster than normal and just go to a crazy barracks count, like 12 barracks. So you just have insane number of Marine Marauder and Medivacs. Medivacs, not Vikings. And the idea is you play like a Zerg, where you split your army into 2 gigantic squads on the map, and then when they push, you just sandwich them from 2 or 3 sides. And bio, if it comes in from 2 or 3 sides, and they're not like completely sieged up with Hellbats in front, they will be fucked. How many tech labs should you go? Says Luke Bomber. 2 factories, or just one? It's totally up to you. So with that style, because I'm being so mobile, I like to play just 1 factory and just go crazy heavy on the barracks if I'm doing that. How many tech labs on the barracks? Most. I would probably only have about 2 reactors, at most 3. But you've got to build a lot more command centers than normal. A lot more command centers. And the other thing you can do with that style is obviously just drop. Oh, there's turrets here? Who cares? If I send 5 medevacs through and 1 full medevac dies, doesn't matter. The other 4 medevacs get in their base and they're super immobile. And then as they're pulling their army back, the other half of my army can stim in and kill their 4th base or something like that, right? There's cool shit like that you can do. So that's the mass bio style. The other style, if you want to learn how to play against mech, is... so we'll look at this replay in a second, guys. But I always talk about Hero Marine, Kelazur in StarCraft Master. Because this is just the one where it was the most extreme example of, oh, this is a cool way you can fight. So... if you guys want to do this, we want to go to this game here. Yeah, and I always talk about this because this is just the one game that's a perfect example of a game where at times Kelazur is behind versus the mech, and then he still fucks people up. Give me a sec. Let me get... I don't have my chat open. Why do I not have my chat open? What the hell, pig? So I normally... yeah. Alright guys, so I just posted it in chat. If you want a link to that, there's a timestamped link to this game. So with bio versus mech, essentially what happens is Kelazur in this game is playing normal bio. He identifies its mech, and what he actually does is he stops at just 3 barracks, doesn't even add his 4th and 5th barracks, and just immediately puts down a 2nd starport. He has 2 engineering bays, and he stops using the 2nd engineering bay. He just is like, I'm just gonna make 1 upgrade at a time. Sometimes he's not even making a ground upgrade. I think he stops at like 2-1 ground upgrades. So even though he's playing bio versus mech, he says, in this scenario, I'm literally just going to take air control off you with this super fast 2nd starport, and I am just going to non-stop build. He might actually get a 4th and 5th barracks, but maybe he skips the add-ons on them or something. Basically, he goes crazy fast 2nd starport. You see, yeah, here, 7.5 minutes. He's like, oh, you're playing mech? 2nd starport, go, go, go. And he just gets the Viking control and then makes ranged libs with a 3rd starport and just basically like just wrestles air control off Hero Marine. And it's really cool because his bio never engages because his bio is not as well upgraded. It just stays behind the air units. But if if Hero Marine tries to like unsiege and push through the lib zones or something, or like is in an awkward position, there's moments where Hero Marine's whole army is unsieged and kind of like in disarray trying to avoid the Liberators, and then he'll stim forward and kill like 6 or 7 siege tanks. So really cool replay there that talks about, you know, that where I realized like, oh my god, I've never seen someone like cut the upgrades that hard, cut the barracks production that hard, and go for air control. So that's a great replay for showing, oh, that's kind of the, I'm just going to actually beat you with mech. Even though I can't match your tank count and your upgrades, I'm just going to take air control, and your tank count's not. My man! So it really depends which style you prefer. Both are good, and both are really quite nice. In terms of regular TVT, what should your goal be? Get out on the map and just rotate between angles. If this was a TVT, and I was Dr. Ryan up here in the top left, and this was my opponent, say he's on 3 base. I'm going to move up here and try to siege up in range of shit. I'm going to scan ahead. Oh, you moved all your tanks to intercept? Okay, I'll come down here. And he's like, fuck, I gotta move my tanks here. And then I'm like, oh, he's still in position? All right. I'll see if I can like elevator into the main or doom drop in there. Or I won't. Or I'll just take a 4th and a 5th base, and I'll just keep moving my army back and forwards between here. And he's like panicking, like, I gotta have my shit position. And I'll just queue drops in every now and then, or Liberators to harass bases. But other than that, I just want to be in a nice forward position. And if they're out of position at all, if they don't build turrets and sensor towers and all that shit, they can't do that much. I don't build a lot of turrets and sensor towers. I don't like that shit because I actually want to make plays happen in TVT. I'll just put marine spotters out, and I will be on the map looking for positioning. But if they're just turtling up, I'll just take a 4th, take a 5th, go up to the next stage. Whether that be mass nukes, which I guarantee you most people don't know how to deal with, you could literally just play bio tank into nukes every game, and you would probably be unstoppable in TVT. I'm not even kidding you. If you learn how to start queuing up nukes in the right places, your opponents will shit the bed. It's actually really funny because, like, yeah, most people will die. Or you could just go range Liberators, Vikings. You could even go battle cruisers, but that's a little bit more of a crazy way of doing it. There's a lot of ways you can do it. But the important thing is, if there's tank sieged here and you're here, you don't try to headbutt through the tanks. You're not like, let's fucking go. You can do that at the start when you can, you know, interference matrix the only 2 tanks that are there, but past that point, it's more about catching them out of position. It's about, you know, if you catch them in the middle of the map, sometimes you realize their army is a bit small. You can flank it from 2 sides. You know, there's a lot of different ways you can engage, but generally it's more about, hey, here's my army, siege up here. I'll go to a new side, and you're a little slow to react, which means I sieged up in range of a command center, in range of a gas, and it works out really well. All right. Okay, guys. I really encourage a lot of questions today, but at the same time, people are just gonna, yeah, do all sorts of stuff. Control Shift O. I don't get, in WCS 3.0, I don't get a menu to control the speed, camera view, etc. Control Shift O is your default hotkey. Pretty sure it's the same for WCS. So that just brings your overlay up and down, guys. Control Shift O. Yeah, dope. There you go. So, yeah. Though there are hotkeys as well, so you can just, you know, do it however you want. Guys, let's get Dr. Ryan's question, shall we? What's up, Ivan? Dude, I've been listening to so much JRE lately. How you doing? How do I make defending multi-drop harass easier? In this game, he kept threatening and doing them on multiple fronts. He finally showed up with multiple Liberators. I didn't have what I needed to defend because of the harass. Okay, so guys, we've got a question from, of course, Masters to Masters 1, actually. I think Dr. Ryan's Masters 1 now. 4,900 MMR he's made it to. Wow. Good job, Dr. Ryan. Well done, dude. So Dr. Ryan is like, hey, this guy just kept threatening backstabs. How the fuck do I defend? Now, I look at this game and I go, well, how do you, if you hold on against this army, how do you not win this game? Because, I mean, check this shit out, guys. Like, he's got Colossus, he's got upgrades. I mean, his army's not big enough to fight it just yet, but a few good force fields and Colossus swipes on these Marines, and the Marines are up front, and it's good. Problem is right now, obviously, that Raven is so fucking scary. I mean, because he's so far ahead economically. So I actually, as Dr. Ryan, by the way, I would already have sent a probe to this base, and I would be like, I am waiting to build a 4th. I am waiting to build a 4th base. Because I'm like, maybe I have to give this base up. You probably don't need to, though. And that's probably me being a bit of a pussy. Being a bit of a pussy. what the fuck? Why are we out here? Why are we out here? Oh, man. He actually interference matrixed a sentry as well, which means no force fields. I think there's just enough zealots that it's actually totally fine, right? But one Colossus gets cucked. Another Colossus is coming in. We just got up to how many gateways? 8. We do have 8 gateways. So, yeah, one more zealot warp in and we should be fine. We've just got to micro these Colossus back so they don't get force fielded. Well, not force fielded, but focus fired, sorry. All right, and yeah. Ooh, yeah, he's fine. Okay, so now we've just got to do one more zealot warp in and then go, right? Or even just go now. I think maybe we could do it with the zealots coming in, especially if we get rid of the tank. Okay, so it should be game over now. Yeah, we kept 2 Colossus alive. Yeah, he kept his Raven alive. Actually, that's pretty impressive. He kept his Raven alive. But this should be game over. Basically, Dr. Ryan, after holding that, can just drop a 4th base. Really needs a Templar Archives just to spend the gas. And I would probably go Second Forge. I mean, Second Forge is a bit much, right? I would also go Armor straight away. I go attack and then Armor because Armor finishes faster and it's cheaper. There's no need for a Stargate. Even that's insane. Why are we going for a Stargate right now? That's crazy. That makes no sense. We should be warping in units right now. If we look at the map vision, it's not very good either. We've only got 2 observers out. Where's the other observers? Just on our army? Okay, why do we have 2 observers up here? That's a bit too much, isn't it? Don't you guys think? Because these aren't even far enough out to give us early warning. If we want to have observers, it should be there and there. These are too close to our base. This is not giving us any warning. We also, after holding that push, I really think we should have pushed straight to that watchtower. Because if we were on that watchtower and we saw this army coming, we could have jumped on it. Or we could have also said, wait a second, why are there no fucking units here? What's going on? So this is just bad observer positioning. And going for a Stargate right now is just insane. Like, that was basically a 2-base all-in from our opponent. The orbital on the 3rd is just making. We held the 2-base all-in. Even, like, the 4th is so greedy already. Don't get me wrong, guys. The 4th is correct because you've got a probe count and these bases start mining out. So the 4th base opens up your ability to transfer probes down. I mean, he went crazy on probes, Dr. Ryan. I don't know why he's above 66. But he did go crazy on probes. The 4th base is nice. The Stargate is just over the top, though. Absolutely over the top. So we're going to now have a bit of chaos. We're going to warp in a Zealot in the main. That's not going to do much. He's going to pull the whole army back. Oh, no. Oh, no. Why didn't we recall? Maybe because I guess we were a few energy short when he first looked for the recall. His macro was too good. Of course, where's the knee? But yeah, moving the whole army up here, that was so sloppy. It was only a double medevac drop. You don't need to send your whole army for that. And, I mean, you should be anticipating this. Oh, this is like the most classic Terran maneuver is the 1-2 punch. So, I mean, it looks like Dr. Ryan doesn't actually have a drop defense control group. Recalls the entire army back to the 3rd and warps in just 2 stalkers here. That's not going to cut it. No. What are you doing? Okay, so we're this is like way sloppier than it needs to be, right? This should be way easier for us. Zealot warp-ins are going to clean that up. So just enough Zealot warp-ins. He's rebuilt the Robo Bay. But where's the control group for this drop defense squad? I don't know if Dr. Ryan uses camera hotkeys, but camera hotkeys make your life way easier in these situations because you can bounce around very easily for recalling and stuff. But basically, I would say, looking at this control group setup, control group 0 can be customized, or control group 3. I mean, this control group setup looks really awkward because it just doesn't look like there's more than 2 unit hotkeys. And as Protoss, I want to have a lot of unit hotkeys. If I think about it, this stage of the game, I wouldn't actually have that many. But then, I think the Warp Prism's out. And then High Templar Storm is coming in. So yeah, what I would want is I would want my main army on a key. I would want the Warp Prism on a key. So let's say that's 1 and 2. But then, once the High Templar are coming in, I want High Templar or Disruptors on 2. So then I'm going to say, okay, Warp Prism goes to number 3, High Templar number 2. Number 4 is always my drop defense / counterattack squad. So if I've got full map vision and I'm the one being aggressive, this squad of Zealots and Stalkers that should be here defending on my drop defense squad, that also can change into my harassment squad, where my main army is pushing here and that squad's attacking from the north, right? You got to have this system built in place to kind of prepare for that stuff, and that should work out real well. Obviously we can build like a Phoenix or a Void Ray or something. I don't know what the point of the Stargate was really, but I assume it's to like stop drops just hanging out here in Liberators. So that's kind of nice, but not really necessary. We're on 8 gateways. We still haven't got a second forge, which is a little odd, but oh, did we had to rebuild the Twilight. Oh, we had to remake Blink. So we're going to go 1 Stargate Tempest. That's just so unnecessary right now. I think it's like this big map pool and just people watching pro play. Everyone's like just going to late game, and they're like doing it without exerting an advantage. I think so many people, I keep watching players who seem to have lost any idea of leveraging advantage in StarCraft, and all they do is they just like, well, I do this, and then I do this, and then I do this. Dr. Ryan just held a 2-base all-in attack on a full 3-base economy, has gone up to a 4th, and rather than making a few more gateways, warping in units, and going and killing the opponent in the easiest win of all time, saying, hey, I defended, I have more shit than you, for some reason we're building Tempests out of one Stargate. And we're taking gases on a 4th and making Storm. You watch Korean play, they very rarely make Storm in this situation. They just go make a few Archons to buff out the army, and they go and kill the opponent. And this is something we can all learn from, because it teaches you. When you leverage an advantage immediately, it teaches you. It also takes control of the game and makes the game easier. If you use your advantage as quickly as you have it, like, you know, it's just super easy. Right now, this should be the easiest win of all time, by the way. Yeah. Where are our Stalker and Zealot weapons? Why aren't we building pylons right now? Our army's so complicated, and there's just no meat to it. Just warp in Stalkers. Why have we got one Tempest? It's so random. And now we're going to take this really awkward engage. That Raven gets some great spells. I mean, it's fine. All we need to do is pull back and not headbutt into the lib zones. No! Yeah. I mean, this is, it's so interesting to see how this game just kind of fell apart, right? Thing is, why are we even trying to defend this base? We've got so much money. All we need to do is pull back. So this is like the #1 rule of StarCraft, guys, is don't take a fight unless you're sure you can take it. It is always better to pull back. Now, this rule applies tenfold when you're playing Protoss, and tenfold times tenfold when you're playing Protoss versus Terran. Do you know how fucking stressed out this Terran is, thinking about how he's going to break through a player who has 3 Colossus and Storm? He has no Vikings. He's like, I can use 2 interference matrices, and I have a 9-second window where the Colossus can't shoot, and maybe I can kill the whole army in that window, maybe? But I've also got to avoid headbutting into Storm and all that sort of stuff. So Dr. Ryan here just got way too overeager. And why did he get overeager? #1, like I said, his map controls shit. #2, he defended, and then he defended, and then he put himself in a corner and tried to defend more when he should be pushing back out. It is so hard to play a purely defensive game. You are not Serral, guys. Stop trying to play like Serral. You cannot just sit back. There is a formula for getting ahead. If you defend an attack and are ahead economically, you turn that economy into army, and you go and do a counterattack to your opponent. A well-planned one, not some half-baked shit. Have a pre-planned, okay, what's a good timing attack to go hit my opponent? Even if it doesn't have to be an all-in. It could be like, I'm just going to push across the map and threaten and maybe backstab with some Zealot counterattack at the same time. And behind that, I'll go to the next step. But you need to get across the map, and you need to assert yourself. So way too many people are, I think, just doing this thing where they're like, well, I defended, let's just make more tech. And the thing is, Dr. Ryan in that last 3-minute window has missed so many warp-ins. Those gateways have not been pumping units nonstop. So let's go right back to this step. Dr. Ryan defends this push pretty well. Disengages from the first interference matrices. Shield batteries finish. Warping in Zealots. Re-engages. Breaks out. And like I said, guys, this is basically a 2-base all-in. Because that 3rd CC started so late. 4th and 5th barracks now going down. It's basically just like sustained biopressure. If we can just survive on 3-base, we are way ahead. So check it. Check it. Hey guys, people are tuning in. What rank is this? So this one happens to be a Masters 1 replay. The whole point of the newbie stream is I don't actually bar the replays. We prioritize lower level replays, but you friggin' noobs haven't sent me enough of them, so we're already looking at high level replays. We're just going through an order right now. So we have a high level one here. But we're going to be bouncing all the way around, and we're going to be answering your questions. So please ask questions as you watch the games. Things that pop in here. It doesn't matter how silly it is, how basic it is. The whole point of the newbie stream is to try and... I mean, we're always pretty inclusive, but it's about actually trying to explain all the details that I normally take for granted and don't think about. And I need you guys' help to do that, because I've played 50 billion games of StarCraft, and I don't see the game the way a beginner does. So I can't answer your questions unless you guys ask the questions. So please ask me questions that you might be a bit embarrassed to ask. Ask me your silly questions and let me know. So yeah, even at this point, where Dr. Ryan had screwed up a little, like I said, should have been warping in more units and retaking that tower, and should have had these observers further out to spot this ahead of time, and then he could have just warped in Stalkers and Zealots and dealt with it with just that. Should not have moved his whole army up there. And I don't mind this setup where you're like, I'll have absolute vision on one side and I'll keep my army on the other side. But you've just got to have that early warning so you can get the warp ins there. But even at this point, if Ryan comes back, defends this, barely hangs on in the main. So what should the plan be, guys? Still add blink? Sure, let's do it. Blink. Let's go +1 armor after that +2 attack. Let's add 3 more gateways. And let's just... Don't make Storm. Fuck that. Don't make the stupid Stargate. Don't make the stupid Fleet Beacon. Look at the fucking unit count. The resource count right now, guys. Imagine if he just made 4 Archons. Warped in around his Zealots. And just went and attacked. The Terran cannot defend that. The Terran has such a shit army. It's like 2 Libs, 14 Marauders, 8 Marines. Colossus, 3 Colossus, add a few Archons, 10 Zealots. You're warping in 8, 10 Zealots at a time. Easiest win of your life. It really is. And if you crush an attack like that, like, it's just, you should always have a bit of urgency, because the more you're sitting back, the more chances there are for you to screw it up. But, you know, Dr. Ryan kind of just got a bit too caught up in like, oh, I'm going to go for the Storm drop. And I'm going to go for the Stargate. I'm going to go for this. It's just too many things. If you're obsessed with Storm, maybe we go, okay, I'm not going to go Archons, but I'm going to get the Storm drop. I'm going to get Storm, and I'm going to do a Colossus, Zealot, Stalker, Storm drop timing attack. And go do a big Storm drop timing attack. That can work as well. Just, you got to make sure there's some sort of attack. There's some sort of move across the map. Build that. So whenever you guys defend successfully, how do you turn defense into an advantage? Always think about, how can I take control of this game? There's something that happens where there's so much that can go on in a StarCraft game. The longer you just sit in your corner, at a certain point, you basically are just in a dark corner fapping. And it's weird. Get out of the bushes, guys. Put your trench coats away. Shave your fucking neck beard off. Put some aftershave on. Style your hair a little bit. Do some push-ups. Get out of the fucking bushes. And go out there and meet some Terrans in the middle of the map. Confidently look them in the eyes and then take them out to dance with your Protoss army. Have a good time. Branches, thank you very much for the 8-month resub. Appreciate that. Let's take a look at the next one. So I might get mods in here at some point. I think EMC2 is already in here, in fact.
Yes.
Hey, how you doing, man? Thanks for hopping on. Are you around for a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, can I hand over replay hosting?
Yeah.
Oh, what a legend, already inviting me to party. Thank you.
So the question for this game is about taking engagements as a Zerg player. Oh, wait, hold on, no, this is...
Can you make me the lobby host as well?
Yes.
I just started up straight away.
Yeah.
So this is PvP.
So engagements as Protoss versus Liberators. It's like they always make him feel uncomfortable. Just like losing an enormous amount of army to Liberators, and just generally like everything goes wrong versus Liberators seems to be the theme. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, we'll go take a look at that. I think to summarize that first bit of the stream, we're going to call that After Defending, Go and Smack a Bitch is going to be the name of the YouTube video for that one, which I think summarizes that last replay, if not the first one. What did we talk about in the first replay? Were you here for that EMC2? I'm trying to remember.
I was not.
Oh, it was just about getting the double robo to defend the Zerg counterattack after we dive Adepts and Oracles in and kill 30 drones. How you're meant to start the double robo before you micro that. Because if you start the double robo and the Roachling Bane's already coming across the map, it's a little late. Which was the problem in the first replay. Which was, by the way, I don't know, was it, shit, what was the name? It was... I've already forgotten the name. It was, let me look at the spreadsheet. Jerome. Did Jerome drop by the way, guys? Are you in chat? Because your friggin' opening was disgustingly good for Platinum League, mate. That was ridiculous. It's actually insane. When you start deciding to create an army, or what order should you be thinking? Has the game got a unit versus unit type mentality, so some units are best? Yeah, absolutely, Bio can. But what's better, especially when you're starting, is what you want to do is you just want to think about a generic composition that works versus most things. Have that as a starting point. So that's like your default. Because a lot of times you don't really know what your opponent's doing, or you don't know how to react, especially when you're new or starting out. But even as an experienced player, you always have a baseline composition that's generic. Like Roach Hydra for Zerg is one. Shoots up, shoots down. Generic Roaches are tough and in front. The Hydras are a bit weaker, but they've got longer range, so they stand behind them. For Protoss, it's like, oh, like Charge Lot Immortal is this really powerful ground army. Charge Lot Immortal Archon, not very good versus air units though. So like you learn with that, oh, my opponent's going mass air, I got to change it up a bit in that position. Terran, it's like, you know, Marine Marauder or Marine Tank Medevac. There's a few different styles. So a really good question is what you just asked. When do you build army? So I have a generic rule to give newer players a way of when to build army. Can you guys do me a favor in chat and link my exclamation mark welcome? Someone can type that in chat. Basically, the welcome to StarCraft videos, there is specifically a hopping into 1v1 for the first time video, which is going to kind of talk about, it's called Getting Started in Versus, is what it's called. And the whole playlist is good for new players, even though some of it is not like, you know, brand new. Like people are like, oh, but like I want a video explaining how to select a unit and build a thing. And I always tell people, I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't have the patience or the understanding to make a video like that, because like that's just so far beneath what I understand about video games. Where I'm like, oh, I learned that when I was 7 years old playing Command and Conquer. Like I can't explain it. It's literally not possible. I will have an aneurysm if I try to explain that level of StarCraft. It hurts my head. I'm sure Jack Attack or someone else has some videos talking about the very fundamentals. But this is like, all right, you've played some RTS. Now you're hopping into competitive RTS, you know, 1v1 ladder for the first time. That's what that playlist is perfect for. Watch that video. The beginner openings are also a good starting point. The general rule is get 2 bases up as quickly as possible, filled with workers, and then put all your focus into army production and engaging your opponent. So that you're basically practicing your building up, your macro, and then you transfer that into practicing your micro at the same time very quickly. So that's like the one-size-fits-all way of, hey, let's try and learn both parts of the game at once. Because if you just ask on a forum, everyone's going to say, just learn how to fucking build stuff. Just spend your money. Just stop getting supply blocked. And that is a big part of it, your macro, your ability to build an army, you know, efficiently. But I see so many people who do that, and they're in Gold League for like 6 months, and they're like, yeah, I feel like I'm improving, but like it's slowed down a lot. And I like look at their replay, and I'm like, you have 6 bases at 9 minutes and 90 workers. Like, you're macroing way better than anyone in Diamond League is. And they're like, yeah, but then I lose. And I'm like, well, you know, you were at triple your opponent's supply. And they're like, yeah, but I don't know how to attack. And I'm like, ah! So sometimes people take the forum comments way too literally. And they just macro, and they literally just throw armies away over and over again. And I'm like, oh, what are you doing? So I really like this because it's going to teach you both parts of the game. It's also, I don't think it's very fun to play StarCraft. I find it like unmotivating to play StarCraft. Like, I'm just going to build units and not even look at them. I'm like, fuck that, man. Running my units around at the fun part of the game, dude. So I think other than that, I would say don't give a shit about losing BOCAN as a new player. And do what you think is friggin' cool. Do what you think is cool, man. You like Mutalisks? Make 50 Mutalisks. Just make Mutalisks every game and run Mutalisks around in circles, just killing all their workers. And watch your opponents shout at you in chat and say bad things about your mother. If that gets you off, do that, because you're gonna learn shit naturally while doing what is fun. And StarCraft is a game which has so much range to it. A lot of people come to StarCraft from other sports and other games and other things. They're like, I just gotta find a drill and do it 4,000 times and I'll be good, because that's how learning works. And I follow I can become an expert with 3,000 or 10,000 hours of organized practice, as long as it's organized, focused practice. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't work with StarCraft. StarCraft, there's 9 matchups, or 3 if you're playing only one race. And there are literally unlimited situations, which even without balance changing, there is so many situations you can get in. So just running drills is not going to be entertaining or fun for you. There's so many things that can go wrong in a game. You have to be motivated to roll with the punches, to just get fucking ruined in some of your games, because it's not a super clear progression like in some other sports. Or even learning most instruments is a lot simpler than learning StarCraft. Unless you're trying to be a jazz musician who's literally fucking like adapting on the fly at crazy speeds, and you're in the if you're in the Whiplash movie, you're being trained by a psycho, and your hands are bleeding every day, then maybe that's StarCraft level of like, okay, this is actually frustrating to learn. But otherwise, So, long rant aside there about a new player. That's like my whole, hey, that's how you should get into the game, guys. And I think that can help a lot of people. So other than that, let's talk about this game. So I thought it said PvP on the loading screen. That's weird. Let's read that question one more time to refresh my memory, guys.
So it was, Protoss taking engagements versus Terran, especially versus Liberators.
Yeah.
Of course, Protoss is already behind in workers, so this is not a great spot.
I like the last point as well. He says, "Oh, I've also started labeling my replays. This is why I hate my opponent's race." Good old Marek, yes. All right. So he says 11 minutes is like a really key engagement. So let's just fast forward to that point and let's do like a little breakdown of that specific engagement. So, I mean, it looks like the Terran just has a bigger economy than us at this point. But, I mean, we've got Colossus, which are generally like one of those awesome units to have. Upgrades are pretty low for us. We've got Double Forge. We're not really using it. Do we have Blink? We don't have Blink even started, which is a big problem if our opponent goes Mass Lib for sure. I think this might be another game where we're kind of just sitting there for a little bit long. But it's also one where we're not using our Double Forge. We're not adding Storm or Blink. So, I mean, I look at this as like we're playing a game right now, which is very, very turtly and defensively oriented. Like, I don't mind some cannons on the edges. I think that's, you know, this is, oh yeah, we got a shield battery here, a cannon there. I mean, I'd like that cannon to be over here so you can actually kill the drop as it's coming in. Whereas this obviously lets them unload and kill your Nexus. This is not bad. This is all fine, but it's like, where are the double upgrades? Where's the Blink? If we're just doing a big Archon Colossus Charge Lord army, it's like, that's a good army, but we should probably be the one initiating a fight, right? Like, we want to choose where that fight happens. And we could max out right now with, like, one Zealot Warp in, but we still don't have a Warp Prism. We haven't done anything to touch up our opponent in this game. Guys, don't worry, it's StarCraft. You're allowed to get handsy. Don't worry about the Terrans shouting me too. It's fine. We want them to shout me too and try to out you as a fucking weirdo Protoss. Who's being a creepy fuck. There's nothing better than being a creepy piece of shit, guys. That's in StarCraft. You want your opponent to be uncomfortable, and you want to be extremely unprofessional in the workplace. So we are finally seeing a push here. The Zealots attacked smack bang through the middle, whereas, I mean, you would think they would attack on the south. We didn't know there was... Oh, we did know it was a planetary. Okay, that makes sense then. I probably would have sent my main army down the south, in fact, then, and sent Zealots on the north. But this works. It's a 1-2 punch. Where's the Warp Prism, though? Where is the Warp Prism? Is a big question right now. The other question is, why did our Observer pull away from the front? We've got two Observers that somehow accidentally got, I think, F2'd into our army or something like that. Because if we had an Observer up there, I think we would see that this army is a very squidgy Terran right now. There's 2 tanks and 2 Vikings. Otherwise, it's just bio. I would love to punch through that with my Protoss. Unfortunately, Marrakesh does have really shit upgrades, so the longer we dilly-dally, the worse this is going to get for us. Because like, now we're making 2 prisms after we attack. Oh, and now we're starting upgrades. But it's so late. It's so late. I mean, we can still take a really good fight, but we don't want to do it through a slow field. I mean, our army is not a particular long-term army. There's a lot of Charge Lord Archon in there. That's an early-term unit. And we're running away from an army that's smaller than ours. We're still not maxed. So what are we doing here? That's the big question is like, what are we doing? What are we looking to achieve? We're not making plays right now. We're just kind of sitting there and hoping our opponent headbutts and dies, right? And I think too many of us are getting stuck in this. Same thing we saw from Dr. Ryan in that last game where it's like, I'm just going to sit back and make more tech. Except in this game, obviously, we're a little bit, forgetful with some of the tech, but Warp Prism takes a few Marine shots for the team. We're going to wreck that army. Oh, man. Why aren't we warping in Zealots? Get in there. Hurry up. How many gateways do we have? Oh, we've only got 6 gateways. Oh, no. We should have 16 gateways. Imagine if 10 Zealots warped in there. We'd keep every Colossus alive in this fight. We also engaged right before Storm finished. Oh, no. So Liberators weren't the problem here. It was just, number 1, we didn't make upgrades. Number 2, we didn't make enough gateways. Number 3, yeah, we only took a fight when he came to us, and we let him pick the battle, whereas we could have gone for a tight, decisive timing attack. What I see here is a lack of direction in our Protoss player Marrakesh. What is the goal? Where is the PowerPoint? What I see is a player who's like, well, I make things, and that's the problem. This is why you have a build order and a game plan in StarCraft. Because the moment your plan is like, well, this is my opening, and I build these units, then I build these units, then I build these units. That's not a game plan. When are you going to go and punch your opponent in the face? You can't just run in circles around the ring in StarCraft. If this was a boxing match, Marrakesh has run in circles around the ring. And that's all he's done. It's like, at some point, you have to punch your opponent in the face. Like, he's not gonna get knocked out from just fainting, from tiredness, from chasing you around the ring. What is our game plan to finish here? We've got to have some potential timing attacks. So one of the best exercises you guys can do as a player is look at your build order that you like, and we don't need to change the entire style, but we can go back and we can say, okay, what are a few timing attacks that I can just choose to do? Okay, and we could be like, well, I like to go Colossus into 3 base, and we could be like, you know what? I'm going to go with Charge, 3 Colossus, and 1/1 upgrades, and it's just like a few Stalkers and Sentries from early game, 3 Colossus, warp in a few rounds of Zealots, and just go. And you know what? Sometimes you're going to run into a fucking wall of depots with Widow Mines and tanks behind it and shit, and you're going to get ruined. But that's fine. The important thing is to say, let's practice executing this attack tight so I learn the details of how I can hit this attack fast and in an organized manner. Let's look at how I can recognize with my observer when there's a wall, rotate to another side, pick off half the SCVs or snipe the command center, and then pull back without going into the bad position. How can I, even if that attack's not going to work, just threaten, keep them off of 4th base, and then add the next step? Well, okay, I need to add Storm, or I need to add Blink and another Forge for upgrades. These are things you guys can do. But you got to pick a timing attack. It could be a later one. It could be later in this game. You could say, you know what? If I'm progressing after I get for my double Forge and my 4th base, I could go with 2/2 Archons, Blink, 4 Colossus, Charge Lots, and that could be my timing attack. Once you start practicing these more, you realize, you know what? My timing attack works even better if I also send a Prism in the main base at the same time as I attack down here, and I warp in Zealots in their main. That sort of shit can work as well, right? You'd be like, oh, but what if he has turrets? He just has turrets. Prism doesn't work. That's the wrong thinking. That's the wrong thinking. You need to start practicing these things and then making minor adjustments. To me, like, oh, it doesn't work. I tried to do a big attack once. It didn't work. He had the things. And then people go back to the drawing board. So that's the big problem. You guys want to take it. If something doesn't work for you, don't take it back to the drawing board. What you want to do as a player is you want to say to yourself, okay, it's not working. What's the tiny change I can do? Okay, the Warp Prism went in the main. It didn't work. What could I possibly do? Siege up outside the main, warp in Zealots, and just run them into the 3rd base while your main army attacks the natural or the 4th. You're still doing the same goal of attacking 2 places at once, right? You're still stressing your opponent out. You're still doing a very low-cost way of engaging your opponent, right? So these are the sort of things where you want to start learning these details. The moment you are sitting in your corner of the map, like we saw from Dr. Ryan and Marikias, with 0 plan of ever exerting dominance until we have 12 carriers, 14 High Templar with Storm, 3 upgrades, 27,000 cannons, shield batteries across the map. It's like, you're not going to get there that often, guys. So I really want to encourage you to start thinking about, this is a timing attack I could do. This is a timing attack I could do. This is a timing attack. And spend a week, every game in that matchup, committing to just one of those timing attacks. Two people go, oh, but it didn't work. And then I feel like a dumbass because I'm just committing to a timing attack. You know what's stupider than doing a dumb attack? Sitting in your corner of the map, fapping in the bushes. Stop fapping in the bushes, guys. Number 1 fucking goal. Get out there, lose a few games, actually being assertive, and learn from those losses. The moment you put yourself out there, you're going to learn so much more as a player. So, yeah, don't fap in the bushes. Otherwise, yeah, all your opponents will map hack and, yeah, and all that sort of shit. So, you know, you'll start screeching and you'll, you know, start fighting, doing kung fu on your bunk bed and all that sort of shit. So that's the big thing here. We're going to fast forward to another plan while we just chat and catch up with what you guys are doing there. Big thanks to the 9-month resub, Cognition with the 2 months, and Branches with the 8 months resub. Of course, Wolverine earlier. Epic Epidemic gifting a sub to Nightbot. And thank you very much for the support, guys. I really appreciate it. So let's go back. There was a question about, especially versus Liberators, how do I engage? But I'm pretty sure, yeah, we're not going to have Blink. We're going to have 6 Stalkers and an Archon, or 2 Archons, up against 11 ranged Liberators with +1. Actually, they don't have range. He's just... Oh, he forgot it. He just started it. Doesn't matter. It's still 11 Liberators versus 6 Stalkers. So this isn't about how do you engage Liberators. This is why are we so far behind and why are we sitting in our corner of the map for so long, right? We lost the first fight, which we should have won, basically. So you know, they aren't the problem. The Liberators are not the problem. You don't beat this army here. What can you do versus Liberators, though? Because I do want to touch on the exact question that was asked. What can we do? Don't let him walk to our side of the map and siege up. Once again, we're sitting in our corner. But what if, as he moves out, we were out here in the map, and he's like, oh, shit! Look at his army. What's he actually got in here that does damage? Pack of Marauders and Marines. A couple Ghosts, they don't really do damage, except for EMP. Liberators have to siege. If you force all these Liberators to siege up here, you're like, cool, well, I'm not going to fight. You pull back, and you run this way. Guess what? They have to fucking run over here and frantically siege up here. You're like, oh, you siege there? You run back over here. They're like, oh, I'm going to siege up here? You run down here. They're like, ah! The Terran is literally screeching and fucking running around trying to siege 400 units. Terran players can't manage this composition. He's got fucking 5 spellcasters in here. He's got to stim his bio. He's got to siege his libs. He's got to use his ravens and his ghosts. I guarantee you, all you need to do is fucking move your army around in a vaguely threatening pattern, and you can watch the Terran just be like, ah! Until he headbutts into Storm and Colossus beams in a big clumped up ball with all of his Liberators siege 2 screens over there. Yeah. I mean, at this point of the game, you know, you've got to be on their side of the map. You've got to be all sieged up and kicking ass and all that sort of shit. And, you know, we generally, I would say, don't want to go this late in the game. We want to be assertive a lot earlier. At this stage of the game, there's so many details. There's so much complexity in the composition. We should probably have like 3 or 4 Tempests out to pick away at Liberators. We should be jumping on the army before he's sieged. You can kind of cuck Liberators by being the aggressor rather than the defender. There's a lot of details to that, but I mean, this is going to be a disgusting fight because we just don't have anti-air. We've got a couple of Stalkers and Archons, and we get absolutely ravaged. GG, Wookiee. Good game. Very nice.